Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's going to be comparing a 2022 Toyota 86 to a 2022 Honda Civic Si. This is, I guess, sportiness versus practicality. First and foremost, so a huge shout out and thank you to the Mercedes-Benz of Farmington, Utah for giving me some time with this 2022 Honda Civic Si. They do have the Civic for sale for the time being, so if you're interested, I'm going to include a link to their inventory in the description down below. They are a one-price store, so they'll make your buying experience super easy and straightforward. And then on a side note, if you want to save time and money the next time you purchase a car, link to my car buying guide in the description down below. And then last thing, this video is most likely going to have to be a two-part series to fit the walk around and the driving portion in. And so this first portion is going to be about, I guess, the walk around, and then the second portion will be the driving impressions. Anyways, let's just get into the video. So let's start things under the hood. So first off, starting with the 86, we have a naturally aspirated 2.4 liter flat four cylinder that goes through a 6-speed manual transmission. It is good for 228 horsepower and then 184 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 20 around town and then 27 on the highway. Now popping over to the Civic, we have a turbocharged 1.5 liter four cylinder. This is an inline four cylinder, not a flat four cylinder like what you have with the 86. Now it is good for 200 horsepower and then 192 pound-feet of torque, with fuel economy being 27 around town and then 37 on the highway. So this gets as good fuel economy around town as what that gets on the highway, which is pretty crazy. So basically we have more power over there, but a little bit more torque over here, and then we have better fuel economy over here. And then this is turbocharged, that's naturally aspirated, quite a bit happening under the hoods, and that's a pretty cool view. Now let's go to the front ends of both of the cars. We're gonna start over here with the Civic that is beautiful because, well, it's blue. Anyways, you've got these really distinctive body lines here on the hood for the new generation Civic. Coming down below, you've got its signature LED lights, which I think look absolutely fantastic. And, well, that's not a fog light. It looks like one, but it's not. And then notice here at the front grille, we do have a subtle SI badge. But other than that badge, this looks just like every other Civic from a front end perspective, but that's not a bad thing because the new generation Civic looks cool. Now popping over to the 86, this definitely has a much more distinctive appearance compared to the Civic. First off, you guys can see you've got like the haunches on either side of the hood, similar to like what Porsche does with their sports cars. And then you've got this super distinctive front end light, which, yeah, just looks very interesting. Got the venting there off to the side, and then you guys can see here with the grille, which has actually been pretty controversial. I think it looks good. Got the GR badge there, and then you guys can see here with the bodywork at the bottom how it looks just pretty aggressive. And yeah, it's pretty interesting seeing both of these cars next to each other, but there's the front ends. Now, starting over here with the Civic, we've got 235mm tires wrapped around 18-inch wheels in the front and over in the rear as well. And then popping over here to the 86, we have 215mm tires wrapped around 18-inch wheels in the front and then over in the rear. So yes, the Civic does have slightly wider tires, but the wheel size is identical with both of the vehicles. I really like the design and coloration here on the wheels with the Civic Si. Now, something to mention, this has all-season tires on it in the front and in the rear compared to the 86, which has these kind of more sport performance type tires. They are summer tires, so this one does have an edge from a tire perspective if you're looking at things from a sporty driving perspective, but then this has more daily driver tires because they're all seasons. Anyways, notice both of them have blacked out mirror caps, very important. And then you guys can see here with the venting on the side, and then look at the bodywork here on the side of the 86, and then compare that to the Si, which is, you know, more normal sedan. And I'll take a few steps back so you guys can actually see kind of like the sides of both of the cars. And then notice here at the 86 how you've got the nice like big rear haunches, right? And then over here with the Si, where again, it's got some nice body lines, but it's more on the sedan type side of things because, well, it's a sedan. Now here are the key fobs for both of the cars. Notice we have the Toyota logo on the front of this key fob, and then we have the Honda logo on the back of that key fob. Functionality on them is identical. So we just hold this down and that'll pop the trunk on the 86, then we hold this down and that'll pop the trunk on the Si. And guess what? Both of them are just as unpoppable. And what I mean by that is, well, I gotta lift up this one by myself. Ooh, so hard. I'm just kidding. And then I gotta lift up this one by myself. Actually, that one's way lighter. That's weird. So the trunk lid on the 86 is smaller, but a lot heavier. Anyways, you guys can see here with the Civic Si, tons of trunk space. Ooh, this one's got rubber floor mats as well. And this is gonna be one of the biggest benefits of the Si over the 86 is just the storage space that you get with this because it's a sedan and not a two-door sports car. And then lowering this down, easy to pop into place. Now popping over here to the 86, you guys can see here with the storage space, not nearly as large. It's cool that it says 86 right there. And it's kind of weird with how that shuts, but there you go. Now let's finish things up here with the rest of the rear. So first off, popping over here to the 86, notice how we've got this like ducktail spoiler situation, which I think actually looks pretty good, and it's cool to see it from the rear view mirror when you're sitting in the driver's seat. And then you guys can see here with the blacked out trim around the taillights. I'm actually a huge fan of the taillights here on the 86. I think they look really good overall. Notice we have our GR86 badge there off to the side. And then we've got these pretty aggressive exhaust tips on either side. And overall, I think they did a really good job with the styling here with the new 86. Now popping over to the Civic Si, you guys can see here with the spoiler how that kind of pops up a little bit. Notice we got our Si badge there. And again, same thing here with the exhaust tips. Notice that, you know, compared to a regular Civic, these are pretty aggressive looking. They're not as big as the 86 exhaust tips, but you know what? It still looks cool. Now, popping into the rear of the Civic Si, and yes, it does have a rear area because, well, it's a sedan. You guys can see the cloth trim right there. And then here's a quick look at the seats. And one thing about these seats is they are usable. Like, I am an adult. I can fit back here. I even have a cup holder armrest set up. Like, it's a nice, practical place to be. But anyways, well, we're actually not gonna head to the front of there. We're gonna head to the back of there. Now we are in the back of the 86, and guess what? It has these nice back seats, so it's just as practical as the Si. Well, not exactly. Legroom is very minimal, if not non-existent, pretty much. But the seats do look really cool. Like, these seats are definitely a lot nicer in the back compared to the Civic Si with their little inserts on them, and then with the padding on the side. But yeah, headroom, not really a thing. Legroom, not really a thing. But I mean, it has back seats. So here's a front door panel in the Civic Si. What you guys will notice is we have this really nice blacked out trim here. And then I love the cloth trim here on the front. So the trim in the front is actually a little bit different than the trim you get in the back seat with the Civic Si. Front two windows are automatic. You've got all of your mirror adjustments. The mirrors do have blind spot monitoring. And look at these beautiful Si seats, really aggressive bolstering. They are manually adjustable. And then the pedals actually look really cool as well. They've done a really good job with that whole setup. And then you guys can see here for the stability control, that's for the safety tech. Steering wheel is manually adjustable, and we'll pop inside here and then we'll go over the front stuff of the 86. So let's go over the interior elements here with the Civic Si. I really like the steering wheel. You've got this red contrasted stitching there on the center portion. And then we do have adaptive cruise control as well as steering assistance. We've got our volume and voice command controls, turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock as well. So really cool steering wheel setup overall. And then we've got this cool gauge cluster setup as well. You guys can see there how we've got like the screen here on the side, and then that is like an analog tack. So it's kind of interesting that they have it all mixed together. But overall, I mean, it looks pretty cool. Now we do have some different drive modes we can go between. We've got a sport mode, and we've got an individual mode, and then on the other side we have a normal mode. And notice how it like gives me a click there because it's like you can't go any farther than that drive mode. But anyways, that's everything for that portion. And then popping over here to the center infotainment screen, first off, I'm actually going to pop it into reverse so you guys can see the backup camera. It's a pretty decent backup camera. It's in other Honda models as well. And then notice that we do have our little volume control here on the side, which actually feels really nice with the trim. We do have shortcut buttons here on the side, and overall response time with the screen is really solid. I think the Honda's done a pretty good job in terms of like the overall usability with the screen. Now my favorite thing about the new Civic is this whole vent situation. I call it the mega vent because it goes all the way across, but you guys can see here with the little controls there and then all of the red trim. I think it looks really good. And then down below here we do have a single zone climate system. And then you guys can see here with the little charging port area and then kind of like some storage space right there. And then here's our drive mode select. We have our auto stop start right there if you can turn that off, parking brake, and then you have your brake hold. And then we have the shifter for the 6-speed manual transmission, which is very hot sitting here in the sun. I can tell you that right now. I love how you've got like just like a shiny little head there so you can see exactly what you're supposed to do, even though you should hopefully know what you're supposed to do. I'll talk about this more in the driving video with both of the cars. And then you guys can see here with the cup holder setup, and then we've got our center console, and then we have our glove box situation. And then quickly, I already have a review up on this specific car, so that it shows like more of the window sticker, but pricing wise, this one stickers for $28,595, or that's what it stickered for when it was brand new. Let's head over to the 86. So here's the door panel for the 86. You guys can see here with the Alcantara trim there at the top. And then notice we've got really nice padding down below. And then the front two windows, which are the only windows, are automatic. We do have blind spot monitoring for the mirrors. And then here are the front seats. I definitely like the front seats on this a little bit more in terms of like the appearance of them. But they're both just as aggressive in terms of like the bolstering. And then you guys can see here, manually adjustable. And then we got the pedal layout down below. We got a little trunk latch release right there. And well, let's pop in. Now going over the interior of the 86, you guys can probably tell by how close I am to the steering wheel with the camera view. This interior is definitely a lot more cramped, basically. But anyways, of course, got the Toyota logo there. We got a GR badge down below. And you guys can see here with the stitching there. We do have cruise control with this, just regular cruise control. Turn signal light stock, windshield wiper stock, all the normal steering wheel stuff. Now I do love the gauge cluster here on the 86. I think it looks really cool how you have the RPMs front and center. And then we actually do have some different modes. So you can just turn the regular traction control off, and then you've got like the track mode, which you have to hold down for a little bit, and then that'll actually change the look of the gauge cluster, so you guys can see how that looks completely different with the track mode versus the normal mode. I think that's a pretty cool feature. And then popping here to the infotainment system. First off, it's got like shortcut buttons here on the side. Really easy to use. I feel like response time on it is pretty solid. And then if I actually pop it into reverse here, and then you guys can see here with the backup camera, and you know, pretty solid system. And then down below we actually do get a dual zone climate system here in the 86, and then you got like more climate controls here. They have like cool switches for them, which yeah, I love the stop start button. And then the shifter is not nearly as hot because it's not the same trim as what you have with the Civic Si. Again, we'll talk about this shifter more in the driving portion, but you guys can see it, reverse lockout is up, so you kind of have to remember to click that up and then put it over for reverse, versus the Civic, you just push it over. And then we do have a big old brake here on the side, right? The Civic has this little like electronic brake button. This one has a regular good old parking brake. And then you have a stability control button here, which you're probably not gonna be able to see because of the sunlight. There we go. And then the track mode. And then you guys can see here with the heated seats. And then we have our little cup holder center console thing, which is, yeah, pretty cool. And then glove box setup. And then last but not least, the original price on this one was $32,658. So this one was actually more expensive, brand new. Now let's get some things up for our quick walk around video with both of the cars. If you guys want to see driving impressions and you want to hear exhaust clips on both of the cars, that is going to be in the driving impression video. So if you're not subscribed already, I recommend subscribing. So as soon as I post that video, you guys can see it. That's gonna sum things up for our video with this walk around comparison. Again, a huge shout out and thank you to the Mercedes-Benz of Farmington for giving me some time with their Civic Si. Like I said, check out the info in the description down below. I'll see ya.